Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna answer this problem. So let's start. So I want to make a game, and this game is basically a number guessing game, and you should have two buttons. First will be the reset button and the second will be the guess button, and then the code will generate a random number in between 1 and 100, both included. 1 minute. Hello guys, in this video I want you to make a number guessing game, and this is a problem. You can solve it or you can just watch the video. So you should have two buttons. First will be the reset button and second will be the guess button. The code will generate a random number between 1 and 100, both included, and there should be an input box which you will enter your guess. When you click the guess button, the code will check whether your guess is more, less, or equal to the number it generated. Then it will replace a txt with the correct case. Instead of txt, let's say paragraph. And the reset button will reset the game. You will have 3 amount of guess in total for each game. So what we are asked, let's see. We should have an input box, two buttons, and a txt, or let's say paragraph. And one will be the reset button, and the second will be the guess button. And every time we click the reset button, it will generate a random number in between 1 and 100. And every time you click the reset button, you will have 3 amount of guesses. And let's say you guess it more than the number that it generated. Let's say it generated like 50 and you will type 60. Then the paragraph will replace itself by like you guess more than the number that it generated. So let's start. Let's first create our buttons. Input and id equals to input 1. Let's say button id equals to button 1. And let's say this is the reset button, and we should have the second button, button 2, and this button will be, let's see, the guess button. Let's make this capital letters, and we should also have a paragraph. id equals to paragraph 1, let's say. Okay, so everything looks fine. Let's just get those values. Let's say const input equals to document.get element by id input 1, and const reset, let's say button equals to document.get element by id button 1, and copy this, paste this. This will be the guess button. This will be button 2, and we should have the const p, let's say capital letter P for paragraph equals to document.get element by id paragraph 1. Okay, so everything looks fine right now. We successfully managed to link our HTML with the JavaScript right now. And now what we are going to do, let's have a variable called this amount of guess left. So by default is 3, right? And then when we click the reset button, what we are going to do, let's say reset button dot on click equals to, let's call a function, And then what we are going to do, amount of guests left equals to 3, so we reset the amount of guests left. And then what we're going to do, we are going to generate a random number. Let's say generated random number equals to math.random multiplied by 100. Then we floor this and add 1. So this should basically give a values in between 1 and 100, which both included in this case. And if you don't know why this generates a number in between 1 and 100, you can just check out my previous videos. And then if we click the reset button, let's say generate random number equals to this thing. Okay, so we take this and we copy and paste it here because we are gonna execute the same command. Okay, now let's write the guess button. What we are gonna do when we click the guess button, let's say guess button dot on click. Okay, and equals to, let's use an arrow function for this one just to practice it. Oh, okay, so this is an arrow function, and then what we are going to do, we are going to say if amount of guests left is less than or equals to 0, which means we have no more amount of guesses to make, then we are going to say p dot inner html equals to you do not have enough guesses left, and then let's return. Why do we return? Because we do not want to continue our code. Okay, now I made a mistake in here. Yep, nice. Now let's say we have the amount of guesses left is more than 0. Then what we do, we decrease it by 1. Amount of guests left, and let's say minus minus. If you don't know what this means, you can just Google it up. It decreases the amount of guests left by 1. And then what we do, we check for our number. So let's say if and no, not that, we are gonna I think I made a mistake. Let's say let number entered equals to 0. So this is basically the number that the user is gonna enter. I created it in here, and we are gonna say if number entered equals to 0, return, meaning that the user did not enter any number. And we also need to say number entered equals to 0. And then what, let's say let's take the HTML from this box. I think I made a mistake again in here. Oh, sorry. Now what we need to do, we need to get the text that we wrote in here. How can we get? We can say number entered equals to p dot inner HTML, or do we use the value? Yeah, we use the value. So we get the value that we wrote in this input box, and we say number entered equals to number entered. So then we convert it to a number. Okay, now what we do, we check for our condition. But before checking for the condition, what if the user, let's say, entered a string, let's say, for example, a name. or a boolean value. We also need to check for that too. If, let's say, number entered, we put exclamation mark in here and return. So what does this mean? We say if number entered, if the user enters a string, right? That means that this will be not a number, and we take the not, we use the not operator to convert it, and the not operator and the not a number will be true. So we enter this if statement. But if the user, let's say, enters 10, then we take the not operator of 10, which will give out false. Therefore, we use this one. We also need to use or for other cases, and this case will be if the number entered will be more than 100 or number entered is less than 1. So we also check for the boundaries too. And if these cases are not met, then we return. And before returning, let's say p dot inner HTML equals to please enter a valid number. Okay. Now we ensure that the user enters a valid number. Then what we do, we check for the cases. If number entered is more than generated number, then what we do, p dot inner HTML equals to, let's say your guess is more than the number generated. Let's carry this to bottom. Okay. And we use else if. What do we do? Number entered is less than generated number, and p dot inner HTML equals to your guess is less than the number generated number. Okay. And the else statement, which means our number is not more than the generated number, not less than the generated number, which means it's equals to the generated number. Then what we do, we say p dot inner HTML equals to you guessed correctly. So this should now basically work. And let's also reset the p dot inner HTML in here too. So what do we have? We have the reset function, which we have the reset button, which resets everything back to normal. We have the guess button, which when you click about it, it runs these conditions. It says if the amount of guess left is less than 0, you do not have enough guesses left. Because you have 3 amount of guesses, if that is less than 0 or equal to 0, you're out. Therefore, we return. And we then take the number entered if the amount of guesses left is a valid number, more than 0. And then we convert that number entered to a number because we take it as strings. Then we say if number entered, so this basically ensures that we have entered a number, or number entered is more than 0, 100, or number entered is less than 1, which we also set boundaries in here. We use the or operator because any of these cases, if met, we should enter the if statement. We say p dot inner HTML equals to please enter a valid number, then we return again. And we say if amount of guesses, we say that we decrease the amount of guesses left because there are no invalid cases right now, so we just decrease it. Then we check for our number, and that's basically it. It should work right now, right? Let's see. Yeah, it should work. Now let's play the game. Let's say 10. Yes. It said please enter a valid number. I made a mistake in here probably. Instead of this not operator, let's use equals to not a number. because I might be wrong. I mean, I did it kind of intuitively. Probably I did it wrong. Let's say number equals to not a number instead of using the not operator. Oh, we got an error too. Do we need to use null here? Why did it say you guessed correctly? Let me solve the issue and come back to the video. I found the mistake, so it is kind of very like dumb mistake, I would say, because the mistake is that I take p dot value in here. P is the paragraph, so I try to take the value of the paragraph instead of typing input in here. So let's try it again. Let's say 10. I also wrote console.log in here. Okay, let's say 10. Your guess is less than the generated number. Let's say 50. Still less? 70? Oh, I probably clicked 2 times. So let's say 60. Guess. Your guess is more than the generated number. Let's say 40. More than the generated number. Let's say 20. More than the generated number. Okay, so it's less than 20. We just know it. And then this is basically it. I made a mistake in here. Sorry about that. I used P instead of typing input. I mean, I was trying to get inputs from a paragraph. It was weird, I know. And oh, let's try strings. Let's type something random guess. Oh, it says you guessed correctly. Then we just type else if number entered equals to generate number. Okay, now we don't get anything. But I don't know why this doesn't work. I mean, when we enter strings, I think we should, this condition should be true, but I think I'm wrong. And to solve for that issue, I used else if instead of else in here and say number entered is equals to the generate number to overcome that issue. And that's basically it. So this is the answer of the problem, and have a great day.